Ah, that's a good one. Money is important, but it's certainly not everything.
Yes, I spend a lot of time out here.
The repetition, the steady motion of the needle.
But most people are too scared to leave their comfort zones.
What's the biggest life lesson you've learned from a mistake? The kind that makes you cringe but stays with you, shaping how you approach the future. Mistakes, no matter how embarrassing, often hold the most valuable life advice. In this video, I sit down with people who've lived through decades of laughter, heartbreak, and hard-won wisdom. From their biggest regrets to their proudest achievements, they share the insights and advice they wish they'd known sooner. Get ready for an unfiltered, front row look at the kind of wisdom that can truly change your perspective. Excuse me, sir. I couldn't help but notice how peaceful you look walking your dog here in the park. Mind if I ask you a quick question?
Well, as long as you're not going to ask me to run a marathon, I'm all ears.
Not today, I promise. I've been talking to a lot of people about life and regrets. And one thing that keeps coming up is this idea of living for the future. You know, always planning ahead. I was wondering, from your experience, what do you think about that?
Ah, that's a good one. You see, when I was younger, I used to think the future was everything. You know, get the job, buy the house, save for retirement, always thinking about what's next. But now that I'm here, I wish I'd spent more time just living. You start realizing the future's not as important as the now.
That's interesting. So you're saying we get too caught up in what's coming?
Exactly. I spent so many years thinking, if I can just get through this week, this year, this phase of life, then I'll be happy. But the truth is, by the time you're always chasing something ahead, you miss the joy of what's happening around you. Like this moment right here with my dog.
It's so easy to get lost in the what's next cycle and forget about the now.
Exactly. And when you're younger, it's tempting to think that once you have certain things, like the perfect job, house, or lifestyle, then you'll finally be happy. But let me tell you, that's just a distraction. The real happiness is found in those small, simple moments. Like walking your dog or sitting with a friend or enjoying a sunset.
That's really powerful. It seems like you've found a good balance now.
It's taken me a while, but I think I'm finally getting the hang of it. The future can wait, but today's a gift.
Well said. I think I needed to hear that. Thanks for sharing your wisdom, Walter.
Anytime, young man. Don't forget to stop and smell the roses. Literally, if you can.
Excuse me, sir. I hope I'm not disturbing you. I noticed you were reading, but I'd love to ask you a question about life if you have a moment.
Well, I don't mind a bit of an interruption now and then. What's on your mind?
Thanks. I've been talking to people about life's big lessons, and something that keeps coming up is the idea of, how we spend our lives chasing it. But I've also heard that it's not everything. What's your take on that?
Yes, the good old money talk. When I was younger, I thought the more money you had, the more secure you'd feel. But as you get older, you realize something very important. Money is important, but it's certainly not everything.
So you're saying money doesn't bring happiness?
It can certainly, some difficulties, no doubt. I'm not saying it's not important. Money allows you to take care of yourself, and it opens up possibilities. But happiness comes from the people you love, the experiences you share, and the simple moments that you sometimes overlook. Relationships, meaningful experiences, those are the things that matter most in the end.
I see what you mean. So how do you find balance between financial security and enjoying life?
So it's about prioritizing what really matters. Make sure you're taking care of yourself and those around you, but don't get lost in the race for more. If you have enough to live comfortably and pursue what you love, then that's what really counts. Money should serve you, not the other way around. I've had my fair share of luxuries, but now I find the most joy in the quiet moments. Peace of mind, that's what I treasure the most.
It sounds like over the years, you've learned that the quality of life is more important than the quantity of things.
Exactly. Stuff comes and goes, people come and go. But the memories you create and the impact you have on others that last in the end is not about how much you've made or how much you've spent, but how you've lived. And whether you've lived with love, compassion, and gratitude.
That's really beautiful advice. I think it's something a lot of people need to hear. Thanks for sharing that, Harold.
You're welcome, young man. Just remember, chase meaning, not just money. You'll be much happier for it in the long run.
Wow, this garden is beautiful. You must spend a lot of time here.
Thank you, dear. Yes, I spend a lot of time out here. There's something about tending to a garden that makes you slow down. The flowers have their own rhythm and they don't rush. It's a reminder for me not to rush either. In a way, this garden has taught me more about patience and self-acceptance than anything else.
I can see that. It's such a peaceful space. Actually, I've been talking to people about life advice, and one thing that keeps coming up is the idea of being true to yourself. What does that mean to you?
Oh, being true to yourself. That's something I wish I'd understood better when I was younger. For so many years, I spent my time trying to live up to others' expectations. You know, trying to be the perfect daughter, the perfect wife, the perfect mother. But in doing that, I lost sight of who I was. I was always trying to fit in, trying to do what others wanted me to do. Until one day I realized if I didn't start living for myself, I'd never be happy.
That sounds incredibly freeing. So, do you think it's easier to be true to yourself as you get older?
Oh, yes, absolutely. When you're young, you're still figuring things out, learning what you like, what you don't like. You're trying to make a name for yourself. But as you get older, you start to realize that time is precious and you don't have time to waste trying to live up to some ideal that doesn't even belong to you. You stop caring as much about fitting in, about impressing others. Instead, you start thinking about what really matters to you, what brings you joy, peace, and contentment. And once you start doing that, you stop worrying so much about whether others approve. You start living for yourself, not for anyone else.
That's really beautiful advice, Eleanor. I think a lot of people can learn from that. About finding happiness by being true to themselves and not trying to fit into someone else's mold.
Well, I hope so. If there's one thing I've learned in my 87 years, it's that life is too short to live for others. The sooner you start being true to yourself, the sooner you'll find the happiness you're searching for. It's all about find peace in who you are, not who you think you should be.
That's such a great takeaway. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, Eleanor. It's been a real honor to talk with you.
You're very welcome, dear. Just remember to take care of yourself. And don't forget to stop and smell the roses along the way. Life has a way of blooming when you least expect it.
Hi, Rose. Thanks again for sitting down with me today. I have to say, it's amazing to watch you sew. You're so focused. What is it about sewing that you love so much?
Well, Alex, it's the rhythm of it. The repetition, the steady motion of the needle. It's calming. In some ways, it reminds me of life. You just have to keep stitching even when things feel messy or complicated. Sometimes things get out of place, but you fix them. And the result is always something beautiful in the end.
I love that comparison. It seems like you've really embraced the idea of letting go of the small stresses in life. Is that something you've always felt? Or is it something that came with time?
Oh, it definitely came with time. When I was younger, I worried a lot about what I was wearing, what people thought of me, how my life looked from the outside. But now it's just not worth it. The older I get, the more I realize those things are fleeting. It's the simple moments like this one sitting here in my chair stitching something for my grandchild. that really matter. I know that now.
That's such a comforting perspective. So, over the years, have you found that your priorities have shifted? Maybe away from the material things?
Oh, absolutely. When I was younger, I thought having the best house, the nicest clothes, and a big paycheck meant success. But what I've learned, especially as I got older, is that those things are just distractions. We're constantly told that we need to have the next best thing, that we need to keep up with the Joneses. But when you reach my age, you look back and you realize those things were never the real goal. The goal was to live a good life, to cherish the people around you, to find peace in the little moments.
That's beautiful. And it sounds like over time, you've come to appreciate the small things more than the big achievements.
Yes, it's true. I used to be so focused on success, on achieving big things, on what everyone else thought of me. But now I take joy in the little things, like sitting outside on a sunny day, watching the flowers bloom and spending time with my family. The older I get, the more I realize those are the moments I cherish most. They bring me peace.
It seems like you've really found a balance in life. And I love that you're still sewing for your grandchild. Do you think that's a way for you to leave a little piece of yourself behind?
Oh, I hope so. I love making things for them, things that are practical but also full of love. Every stitch, every piece of fabric is part of me that I can pass on, and that to me is more valuable than any material thing I could leave behind.
I'll definitely take that advice to heart. Rose, thank you for sharing your wisdom with me today. I think I'll walk away from this interview feeling a little lighter, knowing that it's okay to focus on the simple, beautiful things in life.
You're very welcome, Alex. Just remember, life is not a race. Take your time, enjoy it, and remember that the love you give is the most important thing you'll leave behind.
Good morning. It's inspiring to see you out here exercising, mister.
Robert, and thanks. Got to keep the old joints moving, Keeps me feeling alive.
Absolutely, Robert. You seem so energetic. Mind if I ask you a few questions for a project I'm working on? I'm exploring life advice from people with some wisdom under their belts.
Wisdom? Well, I've got 85 years worth. Fire away.
Here's a big one. If you could give one piece of advice to someone in their 20s or 30s, what would it be?
Take risks. No question about it. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that when you're young, you got all the time in the world to bounce back. But most people are too scared to leave their comfort zones.
That's powerful. It sounds like you're saying the fear of failure can hold people back more than failure itself.
Exactly. The fear is almost always worse than the reality. Failing? That's just part of living. But not even trying now. That's something you'll carry with you forever.
How do you think young people today can overcome that fear? It seems like there's a lot of pressure to play it safe.
But here's the thing. You've always played it safe. You'll look back and realize you never really lived. My advice, start small. Push your boundaries little by little. Take that class you're curious about. Apply for that job you think you're not qualified for, or even just talk to someone new. The more risks you take, the easier it becomes. And trust me, you'll surprise yourself with what you're capable of.
That's really encouraging. Do you think taking risks gets harder as you age?
Oh, absolutely. When you're young, you have fewer responsibilities. No mortgage, no kids to feed. Just time and energy. As you get older, life piles on more obligations, and those risks start to feel heavier. That's why I tell young people, don't wait. The best time to take those big leaps is when you got less to lose and more to gain.
That makes so much sense. And it sounds like even the risks that didn't work out for you taught you something valuable.
Every single one of them. It's not about whether you succeed or fail. It's about what you learn and how you grow. Those lessons are priceless.
Thanks so much for sharing this, Robert. I think your words will inspire a lot of people to step out of their comfort zones.
I hope so. Life's too short to play it safe. Take the leap, Alex. You'll thank yourself later.